fears have been realized. The tires, good tires, but apparently that one couldn't take these bad Arizona roads, and they are bad. It's time for another Wild Time to let you know where we're at and what we've been up to. Well, we've left the ocean and we headed south a lot sooner than we would have liked, but we have some business to take care of, some of which involves Susan's health, and that's very important to us. We're currently underneath a canopy in a park. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning and it's already pushing 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been hot here.
Yes, very hot. As you saw in the opening clip, we did have a bit of a mishap on the travel south. We will share that in this video, but first we want to share some of the fun things that we've done in recent weeks.
One of our very favorite things to do is hike and walk. And this summer we spent a lot of time walking on the beach. And by beach, I'm not talking about where people are laying out in the sun getting a suntan and all that. I'm talking about where the wilderness meets the sea. It is absolutely epic on the Oregon coast, and we had a wonderful time.
We did, and we found some great beaches for agate hunting and finding gems. It was so fun to just walk and look for the agates, and we'd find one and run over and say, oh, look at this one. And they're just different colors and shapes, and some of them were quite large and really beautiful, all different colors, and it was just so much fun just walking. We just walked for miles looking for the different agates and gems. Really enjoyed that. Yeah,
it was really fun. I can remember one that Susan picked up that was really large, and I was just stunned by the size of it. And then I walked maybe 20 feet and found one about the same size, at least just as beautiful. And it's amazing. Like Susan said, we'd run up to each other and share that, but it was a lot of fun doing that.
Another thing we really enjoy is checking out all the coastal wildlife. We saw some really interesting things this summer. One of them was this little sea worm. It's a very strange little worm, but it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, we don't see those that often. Something else that we saw in the surf was Dungeness crabs. We see those often, but not necessarily wild like that. Usually they're in a restaurant. But anyway, that was interesting to watch those.
And the tide pools are always great, so full of sea life. Great little urchins we saw this summer.
Yeah, purple ones,
purple
and the spines on them. You can touch them, and it feels like they're not as needly like in a cactus or something, but they're a little pokey.
But they're very beautiful.
Yes.
There's always a lot of sea stars. The sea stars are just all different colors. They're all like smashed together, and
they're
just
all over the place, feeding on the mussels and everything. They're always really beautiful to see.
And of course, tons and tons of sea anemones, and they're so beautiful when they're open. They look a little different closed, but when they're open and green, they're just amazing
they're stunning through the clear tide pools. They're just really beautiful.
Love checking out all the tide pools.
There was a lot of harbor seals this time. We'd see them on the rocks, and because we were up there a little bit early, we were able to see some with their pups, and they just really something to watch them. So we did some of that. And that was great. That was really good.
And then in town, even there was a lot of sea lions, and they are so fun to watch because they make all kinds of noise. And I guess some people might think they're annoying, but they're just adorable. Watching them trying to, move each other out of the way, and
it's like they're playing King of the Raft or something all the time, and they squabble with each other quite a lot when they getting up, and then they get along. But it's like first we have to argue a lot and bite each other, and then we'll be okay. So it's really interesting to see that. And something else that we saw, maybe 30 or 40 whale sightings from a distance, but at least we get to see the spouts and them come up to the top of the water, and that was interesting. Always fun to see that.
And then of course there's a lot of seabirds that we always like to check out. There's always tons of gulls, of course, and it's fun to watch them eating their crab or whatever they're going after. We saw a few that we don't
Oyster
see too
catchers,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, the oyster catchers, don't see them too often. And it was
vultures on
yeah,
the
vultures.
beach. And I think early on it was because of all of the births that were happening
Yeah.
on the beach. But yeah, the vultures were right down on the beach, so that was interesting to see. But we just always enjoy checking out the wildlife,
Yes.
wherever it is.
Yeah.
Another place that we went to check out the wildlife was the Oregon Coast Aquarium in Newport, Oregon. We've been there several times, but recently we were able to enjoy a lot of the changes that they've made.
Yeah, they have been expanding it over the years. They have an indoor section with lots of different aquariums to check out very colorful fish and really some interesting things in there. They have little places where they have like a tide pool that you can touch things.
I really like the sea nettles. That was
the sea
something I
nettles
don't want to
was-
forget to
yeah.
mention, because I really like that a lot.
Yeah, it was just beautiful, and the way they have them in the tank, it was gorgeous.
Stunning. Yeah.
And then they have those glassed-in walk-through tunnels, which they continue to expand. The first time we went, they had just one, and now they have three. All different kind of ecosystems with different types of animals in them. Of course, one of them has sharks.
Yeah, the sharks
and the
were
big
always a
rays,
big
and
thing.
yeah, that's always a big hit. Has the the glass on the floor, so they swim under you, they swim over you. That's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of big fish. They're interesting to look at, especially so close, because it's not every day you get to stick your head over off a boat into the ocean and look at them. So it's really neat to see them up close like that. And they just get accustomed to being that close to you, because they
Yeah.
don't seem to spook off that much. Right?
Yeah, and then they have an outdoor section too. Of course, my favorite part is always the sea otters. They are so much fun to watch.
They are. Never a dull moment with
Yeah,
those.
they're always, doing something that's funny.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so we spent, I don't know, probably a couple hours there. That's enough time to get through it and look around, and we just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, it's a great aquarium, I think.
Something we were able to do recently is visit some museums, and we're always visiting museums and historical places, and this time we found one that's quite unique. It's the Albany Carousel Museum. And from the very moment that we walked in the door, things were just very ornate and just a sight to see.
Yeah, the carousel was absolutely beautiful. The museum itself is free. They charge $2 to ride the carousel, but it was one of I think, the most beautiful carousel I've ever seen.
Well, and there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, there's two levels. On the upper level where the carousel is, and then you go down to the basement where they have some of the older carousel animals and things from many, many decades ago, and they're just something to behold. And then you get to go in and see how they're actually making these animals, and they hand carve these things. They start with a big block, and then they use machinery to get it down to a workable size, and then they hand carve them. They're just stunning, absolutely, just fascinating with the attention to detail.
Each one is sponsored by someone, and they choose some sort of special feature to add, an additional animal or some type of feature, and they even have a little time capsule that they put in it where they can put, say, their dog's collar or some type of memento or something that they can put in this animal that's going to be there presumably, as long as that exists. So it was really, really a great museum.
Very, very unique.
Yeah, and then they have another room where they show how they paint them as well. They hand paint them. Takes an enormous amount of time and patience, but they turn out
very
just
intricate.
Just beautiful, and they're always making new animals, and they rotate them in and out on the carousel, and it was a really fun museum.
It was. It just very intricate and beautiful art. The artists are amazing.
So now we'll share the mishap that we had on our travels south, and it was a bit of a doozy.
Yeah, we had been riding on some really bad Arizona roads when we got into Arizona, and I mean they're quite bad. We go a lot of places in the west and I'd say these are among the worst. I mean, California rivals it in some areas, but man, a lot of the Arizona roads that we'd been on in northern Arizona are just absolutely horrible. This section of Highway 93, I think it was like driving in, well, they're ruts, but these aren't just your typical just worn ruts. These are like what I would call extended potholes. Just the ruts are jagged on the sides. And we were doing everything we could to avoid them, but there was traffic and everything, so we'd have to ride in them at times and straddle them sometimes, and then there was dual and triple ruts and stuff, so it was just hard to avoid, and I just felt like it wasn't good. And then all of a sudden we're like, what's going on? The trailer just starts swerving, things are happening, and I looked in the side mirror, and I could see immediately things flying all over the place, and that we had definitely blown a tire. And it was everything I could do to get over to the road side of the road as quickly as I could. And fortunately, there was a little bit of space to pull off there.
Yeah, very little. Now, we have had a breakdown previously that was not fun at all. We were stranded that time for almost 10 hours on the side of the road. However, this time it was much hotter, over 100 degrees, and it was a much less safe location that we were forced to pull over in. So even though we were only there for 3 hours, it was definitely as stressful as the 10-hour ordeal.
Yeah, it was really hot, and Susan was working on contacting roadside assistance while I went outside to kind of make things as safe as I could. I had some emergency triangles that I put out. I had grabbed my flares, and I got out there and I thought, wow, it's hot and dry and windy. I'm not doing this. I did not light any flares. I'm just glad that popped into my mind, because I could have taken a common thing that happens and turned it into a horrible disaster. Yeah. So I'm glad that I had the mind to not do that. So I put out some of those, and then I had an emergency blanket that was orange, and I just really wanted to get attention from far away. I had first put it on the back of the RV, and then I just slammed it in the side compartment to make it kind of blow out a little bit. But I have an emergency vest that I wear, and I actually had a truck get so close to me that it pulled on the vest some, and it really it scared me. I thought, wow, that could have just drugged me right out. So we just knew that it wasn't safe, so we just got out and got over to the side, and it was just quite a dangerous thing. I wanted to be able to do this myself. I wanted to just get the spare down and everything, but I was just very I worried about working that close we were kind of on the line, and so I would have been out in the road a little bit trying to jack this up and change the tires, so we thought it best to just wait. We did have one highway patrolman pull over. They just said, well, it looks like you're out of the road, and took off. I thought maybe they'd put their lights on or something and just kind of, help us until somebody got there. But I get it. I understand. But that did come to mind.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we had roadside assistance eventually showed up.
Yeah, and this person was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. From the time he came walking up with a smile, I just felt a little bit of relief. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes when things like this happen, I think, oh wow, they're really going to stick it to us. They're going to get us while we're down, type of thing, or something like that. And it didn't turn out that way. This guy was just amazing like I said, from the very time he got out of his truck and walked over, I just felt calm. So he took charge immediately, and I showed him where some things were, and he went ahead and got his stuff going, got the tire off. So not only did he change the tire and all that, but he actually helped out with the siding. This blowout tore off the skirting and the what you call it, like the fenders and stuff, and just the side wall was all out, metal and everything. And he didn't have to do any of this stuff, but he just stuck around and made sure that we were going to get down the road safely. I have his card here. He's always ready, mobile, and I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen because I just think the guy was phenomenal. While he, you know, he's getting all of his from the insurance company, from our roadside assistance and everything. We, you know, we didn't get anything from him to make me do this. I just think it's due to him. I think he's amazing, and he did very amazing work, and he really knows how to make people feel great when they're in a bad situation like that. So, yeah,
that helped
very
quite
helpful.
a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then we've got a spare on, and now we've got the good rim and the blown out mess of what used to be a tire in the truck, and we take it into Kingman, Arizona, to I'll just say Discount Tire, because that's where we normally get our tires. And the manager came out and looked in the truck to see what we had and saw the tire, took one look, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we're going to cover that." Yeah. They could see that it was just a malfunction of the tire. Yeah. And we had already had them about 3 years.
Yeah, over like 3 years, yeah. I think. But this was just a catastrophic failure of a tire. It was not in good shape at all.
Yeah, and it was sudden too. There weren't any like pressure changes or any of that kind of stuff that would draw attention to this. This was just a catastrophic blowout, a failure of the tire. They were all visually inspected and aired up and everything before we took off for this leg. So we did everything we can, and this is just something that happened. But they were really good about this and covered it. You know, I mean, we did pay for the warranty on these things, but I was ready to have to pay because I figured it had been so long. But took one look and said, "Nope, we're covering this," and so we put a brand new tire on it, and off we went.
So that definitely helps when you're in that kind of a stressful situation, when things like the people that come to help you and the tire place is wonderful. So that helped a lot.
It did. So that's where we're at and what we've been up to. We've got a lot of good videos planned, and we're going to do our best to work with this hot weather to get them out.
Please remember to share, subscribe, and click on that little notification bell. Thanks for watching.